Hey, this is Michael Lindsay from Vital MX, and we just wrapped up our 2022 250 Shootout. We're here to do our roundtable. We got 4 of our 6 test riders, myself and Sean Klinger, who are on staff at Vital MX, Chris SIEBENHAAR and Willie Simons, who help us out with a lot of these tests. They spent all the days of this shootout with us. We all have our individual notes, our opinions. We have our overall score, and we're going to basically break down each bike based on how they finished and see where we agree, where we disagree, because that's part of it. Ultimately, a shootout is a subjective opinion. There's not really a right or a wrong answer at the end of the day. It's just kind of what we think based on our experience and our thoughts, and that's what we're here to share with you. So there's going to be one of these videos on each motorcycle. Make sure you check out all of them if you're really interested in finding out which bike is best for you this year. We're on the Suzuki. Yes, it got last place. Let's put the disclaimer out there beforehand. This is a group of opinions. We're weighing it off of, in stock trim, what can we, with what we can do to the bikes of the track, how would we rank them if we had to pick them to take home for the year like that? And at the end of the day, the Suzuki gets last again. It's not a bad motorcycle. It's just when you do the checklist against everything else, it's like, well, it doesn't do this better than that, doesn't do this better than that, doesn't do this better than that. Not that it's a bad motorcycle. It's just how does it rank any higher when it doesn't do anything inherently better than the bikes around it?
Yeah, and I have a soft spot for the Suzuki. I personally rode one last year, and when you get them set up for you, I had my suspension guy do the suspension and did some other stuff, clamps, pipe, and I had a blast on that thing. It's not the fastest bike, but obviously for this shootout, we're testing them in stock trim, and the bike is unchanged since they came out with this particular model, which was 2019. And for whatever Suzuki's reasoning is, the bike is unchanged, and that's why it's getting last. And another thing too is the bike is way, way, way oversprung. Basically, if you guys have a Suzuki or you're gonna buy a Suzuki, turn the clickers all the way out and just pray. If not, then get springs. You could literally probably go ride Supercross on that stuff.
It's dead true, because I remember I was one of the few lucky. I went to Japan to ride this thing at the initial intro. I'm not joking, I rode one lap, rode and looked at the engineer, tell me what is in this for spring rates. And he's like going through his notebook, and he told me, I'm like, same thing that's on the 450, right? He's like, I just rode off, because Suzuki has done this on separate function fork bike. A few things, they'll end up on the same spring rate as a 415. They go to a really soft valving, so the bike feels very topped out, very rigid because of that high spring rate, and it won't settle. But if you actually hit something hard enough, once you kind of defeat the spring rate initially, it'll blow through because the valving's light. And it just sucks because it is more of a rigid bike. It's like, man, there needs to be some comfort here. It feels so planted on the front. It carves in so good. Tight track with ruts. It'll outturn about anything. And that's the thing. It's cool. It has character, and I love that about it. I just the negatives that come with it make me scratch my head, because it's close. Like once again, I'll say right now, a couple of these changes we name off. Would it make it a top 3 bike for me? No. But I would come here and go, man, I honestly enjoyed the day. It was so close to the Husky would be what I'd come back and say, or toward the Cowie or something like that. Just with those items, once again, it's just easy to put it at the bottom of the sheet when we're talking about this is how it is out of the box.
Yeah, and it's like if the motor character and the chassis matched a little better, I think it would be a great, vet dude bike. Because it's like the chassis wants to go race Supercross and the engine doesn't. When I'm trying to get more comfort out of the Suzuki, if you go softer on the suspension, it doesn't feel like it. You get more comfort. You just feel like you're blowing through it. And then there are some positives that I like. I like the way it looks. I think it's a cool looking bike. I like the ergos. I like that the flat seat is pretty neutral. It's not really a pocket. You can kind of move around. Helps with the handling. Helps help it turn, but the harshness is just, it's not comfortable to ride, and then the power is just noticeably down. And it's like, especially when you're revving, and it almost reaches this midpoint that it doesn't matter what you do with the throttle, it's just gonna stay there. It doesn't keep building. It's just like, oh, there it is, that's all you're gonna get, and how about it? So yeah, for me it's 7th place, and that's.
I will say the thing that is shocking to me as the 250s get faster. Yes, in a straight line, it's not as fast as any of the air bikes. At the same time, like, yes, it's a little harder to get over some of the stuff that are bikes, but at the same time, I still cleared everything. I'm not usually looking at stuff like there's no way I can't jump it on this bike. I would say, honestly, what I was saying about having to ride the Cowie in the right spot for me earlier is I could get over stuff just as easily on the Suzuki as I could as a Cowie, as long as I rode the Suzuki in the right place it wanted to be ridden. It is a little bit more of an older 250F feel. It is a little more low to mid. It doesn't have, like you said, those top end legs. I feel like it revs better than their old bike. It just doesn't, where like a lot of the bikes here are rewarding when you rev them. Like that's where they make their meat. This one pulls, but you feel it just taper off. Like, okay, I'm not in the best place this engine's at anymore. It's got something there, but this is not its home.
Sean and I laughed when we were talking about the map, because I remember the day he came out to the track and showed me like, oh hey, look, here's the map system set up, and it's kind of like they went through the back and they're like, man, we have a lot of spare batteries and spare parts. Like, well, let's throw some stuff together. And so you look at how they do their map, and you're plugging in one thing and you're plugging in another, and there's stuff hanging off the bike. It doesn't look, it looks very much like an afterthought, when they did it, where the Yamaha, everything is so seamless. I mean, you don't see anything. You just walk up with your phone,
the user experience, it makes it, because like, don't get me wrong, mapping's it's not rocket science, but at the same time, it's like you can just pick up the Yamaha app and just start pressing buttons like, I'll try this, click that, okay, that didn't work. It's a lot easier to just be like, as I tell people, suspension, you don't know if you don't try. You can always reset it, and their system is so much more rewarding. Just be like, okay, tried it, well, that didn't work, okay, try it, well, that worked. And you learn through trial and error, of course.
Yeah, and I mean, putting the Suzuki system together, it's like you're trying to jumpstart a car. I mean, with all the stuff you're hanging on there, it's not going to be a quick change.
No. And the reason why they have to do that is because the Suzuki still doesn't have a battery, doesn't have the button. So you have to kickstart it, but you have to plug in a power source for the Git system to talk to your phone.
It's also a tough one right now because of the state of COVID. All the bikes are selling off the showroom floor. The Suzukis were always really easy to say, like, hey, this thing has an amazing rebate. You can get it for way cheaper than the other bikes. It's already the lowest MSRP plus, $1,500 off. No matter what, let's say you got a dude that's on a 10-year-old 250. Like, it's still, like, if you get suspension up for it, it's still going to be a fun bike. I say the same thing as a 450. We say outdated, but just everything else has been pushing so hard. Even when we say, oh, this bike's only a little different last year, they're still making such good revisions. It's like, yeah, this feels like it should have been here 4 or 5 years ago, but still a good upgrade for a guy that's looking for something super reliable. Nice part is everything in this motor has been around for a long time. There is a lot of aftermarket stuff sitting around for it. It's pretty proven. The parts aren't too expensive for it. So it has its place in its home. It's just when it comes down to, again, a competition, we got the checklist out and marking it off. I can't justify putting it any better here. Talking to people that come up to me and ask me about bikes, they ask me about the Suzuki. There are some that, it works for, some it doesn't. I'll tell them the truth. And like I said, for you guys listening, it might be a bike for you, but if we're talking about competition, winning races, it kind of isn't. Cool. Thank you for joining us for another roundtable. Like I said at the beginning, there is multiple of these, one for every single motorcycle, whichever one you've just watched. If you want to learn about the next most interesting bike, make sure you hit our video playlist, look around. There's plenty of them in there. If you want to check out our full detailed article, dyno charts, weights, all the stuff you want to read through, that's on our site at vitalmx.com. The link is in the bio below. And once again, if you like what we do here, please subscribe, hit like. It really helps us, and we get to keep cranking out great content like this.